Hi YouTube, I am Shaggy, I am Philalitea, and I am walking back to the tent after hanging out in Taco Bell and watching Thursday Night Football this week. The Cardinals and the Seahawks. And that was a game the Cardinals could not wait to lose. If their kicker is employed next week, if that same kicker is employed next week, I will be very surprised. He misses a field goal, which would have had them winning the game. And then when all he had to do was not fuck up the kick, he doesn't get the ball into the landing zone. All the Seahawks have to do is move the ball 40 or 20 yards and they get to kick an easy now 50-yard field goal. Game over. Just total letdown. Total blue ball game if what you wanted was to see both teams show up. And man, the Cardinals are just a blue ball team if what you want is to see Marvin Harrison Jr. look anything approaching a professional NFL, a professional athlete, a professional wide receiver. That guy. But the takeaway from that game really is that Kirk Herbstreit and Al Michaels have great chemistry. They hang out a lot. They get along really well together. And Kyler Murray and his receivers do not. Kirk Herbstreit, and I'd like to give him the kudos for it because he was doing the Philalitea thing where he was oversharing the truth in a way that he really could have not, and would have probably done himself and maybe even his broadcast team a little bit of good. But he kept talking about how Kyler Murray just doesn't have leadership traits. He just, if you look at everybody in the two or three, the class on either side of him, and then in his class, that three classes, if you just look at all the guys, the quarterbacks that came out of those three classes, he's the only one with 7 straight starts and no leadership ability, none whatsoever. But his lack of leadership ability is why Cliff Kingsbury got fired, and it's why this Jonathan Gannon's going to get fired. Those kinds of quarterbacks are called coach killers. And Kyler Murray's going to have enough talent. He's going to have enough talent, and he's going to flash at the end of every season of his entire career just enough to convince that idiot owner to keep swapping out head coaches instead of going and getting himself a new quarterback. Because he let Cliff Kingsbury convince him that talent alone was worth multi-year contracts at the quarterback position. Cliff Kingsbury doesn't work there anymore, but Kyler Murray's going to for a very long time. Just like Tua, these undersized quarterbacks, this is what happens when owners get it in their heads to draft these guys. They can't let them go. They get it in their head that they're discriminating against him, that they're firing him because he's small. And it's like, yeah, you're firing him because he's small. You shouldn't have drafted him because he's small. Whatever on that. The Seahawks were playing around in that game after they went up 20 points. After they scored their 20th point, they were done. They were done. They were playing around with the Cardinals after that. They were in practice, figure things out, think about next week mode, especially in their play calling, especially on offense. The offensive play calling was absolutely not worried about winning that game. They were worried about the offensive play calling was worried about getting Darnold some looks downfield, and they were worried about trying to figure out how to get Jackson Smith and Jigba unlocked in the game plan. Seahawks look just fine, and this is another game of me telling you I told you so. Sam Darnold can do it. Sam Darnold can do it. This guy's got 7 or 8 years of NFL experience, and he's only 28 years old. It's that's crazy. That's crazy how much experience he has for his age. The other guys in his class are all in their 30s now. His draft class. That's crazy how young he is and how much time he has to grow into the position. That was Monday Night Football. The Cardinals defense is always good. Buda Baker's very good. The defensive coordinator, play caller, very good. Everything and with the Cardinals defense is good, and the Seahawks always have a good defense. When the Seahawks defense is playing underwhelmingly, their head coach gets fired. That's just how that goes. And so the Seahawks are going to be in it at the end of the season. They're not going to be Super Bowl bound, but they're going to be in it in a real way. And that's cool for Seahawks fans. The Cardinals, I said going into the season that I didn't know where they were going to get a single win this season, and they've already stolen. They've stolen 2 from the NFL's crazy first 2 weeks. Crazy shit happens in the first 2 weeks of the NFL. First 6 weeks of the NFL, crazy shit happens. And the Cardinals stealing 2 wins is one of the crazy things that's going to have happened this season. 2 of the crazy things that will have happened this season. The Cardinals stealing wins. The Seahawks will get 10. Sam Darnold will get that contract extension. He looks just fine. Some of those deep shots he took tonight, that deep shot on the sidelines to effectively win the game tonight was nothing short of awesome. I feel like I've gone off path. I can't actually see my path. I'm just like kind of walking through tall grass and hoping for the best while I talk about football on my way back to my tent. It's wet and I'm grateful for waterproof clothing. It's very wet down here. It's been raining the last 2 days. It's very wet down here. Anyway, football. Thursday night football. That's what I've got to say through 4 weeks of Thursday nights. There's not really much to say yet about football. I don't know what the hell was going on with K9. What's his name? Kenneth. Plays under number 9, the running back for the is it Kenneth Walker? Is that his name? I don't remember. The running back for the Seahawks effectively got himself benched in this game for throwing a football at a Cardinals defender. I don't know what that was about. I don't know what he was thinking, why he did it. But he was a huge part of their game plan the week before. Not their game plan. He was a huge part of their win the week before. And he basically didn't play at all tonight. And I don't think that was the wrong move. I always think that's the right move. If you got a guy whose head's not in the game, whose head's not into winning the game, you yank him. Because his backup wants an opportunity to show that he can have his head into winning the game. And Zach Charbonnet is very good at football. Now that said, Jackson Smith and Jigba, JSN, absolutely did make a case for getting himself benched in this game for the same thing. Huge holding penalty on what was a touchdown. I think they converted later. They might not have converted. They might have actually turned the ball over after that. I wasn't watching super close. I was just getting a feel for the game. Nobody is hinging on my watch of the game and my takeaway for sure. So I was watching with one eye while I played Rotato, waiting for the end of the game for me to have something to talk about. Kickers, man. Special teams players. They don't get paid a lot. That's a fact. But they act like because they don't get paid a lot, there's not a lot riding on them. And there is a huge amount in a football game, in any given football game, riding on the special teams. All three phases of this game, the NFL football, matter hugely. Especially if what you want to do is not lose in embarrassing fashion. Now, if you want to lose and you want to be embarrassed on your way of losing, you can do things like not know the rules of special teams, Steelers players, or you can not kick the ball into the landing zone if you're the Cardinals kicker and you just don't want a job in the NFL after a loss. But this isn't the NFL I grew up with either. These coaches aren't the NFL coaches I grew up with. They have, for example, much more human type empathy for kickers and punters and returners and gunners than they did when I was a boy. But is that the right move? I don't know. Kicker will lose a game for you and cost you league minimum, and then you can have a kicker like Justin Tucker, who criminal allegations, or at least malfeasant behavior notwithstanding, alleged, I don't know, or care. You can have a guy like him who's perfect. He seems like he can't miss. Start having the yips. And then, if you're a team like the Ravens, who counts on that guy, because that guy is one of the three phases, counts on that guy to be perfect. You're the Ravens, and you count on that guy to be perfect, and now he's got the yips. Suddenly he couldn't hit the broadside of a barn. That affects your game plan. So these coaches, on some level, when I watch and I see these head coaches let these special teams players really get away with sinking their team in a win, there is a certain amount of reminding yourself, well, it is a 17-week season, and we do, if you're the head coach, these teams do have training camps for a reason. And so you can't just bring in a guy off the street to do the job. This is what you tell yourself if you're a head coach. But also, you tell yourself if you're a head coach or you're a position coach that you can teach anybody to do the job. The job is the same. The job is the same job that these people, these professionals have been asked to do on a football field. Many of them, most of them, you would think the vast majority of them, since they were very small children, you would think they know the game. That's not always the case. Oftentimes guys who just happen to be very large or very athletic as they approached college age were invited to play college ball, either because their school was small enough that they were desperate, or just because the coach was feeling a wild burr up his ass about another coach in his division or whatever they're called in college. So there are a disappointing and, in my opinion, inappropriate number of people who come to the game, play the game professionally, who don't know the game.